I listened to the Lil Wayne Island Holiday
Can we start the show
last
with
night. Yeah, welcome back to the Chatting Average, by the way.
Wait, what?
John Sansoni, John Lieber, Adam Busek.
Howdy.
Lil Wayne's Island Holiday is genuinely one of the worst songs I've
One of
ever
the worst
heard.
ones I've ever heard.
Lil Wayne, first of all, can't sing.
Correct.
He cannot sing, and so he's the
I'm not
first thing
sure
you
he's ever
hear.
been able to.
The first thing you hear is completely off key, not even the right notes. When you're on a holiday. And it's interpolated with Weezer's Island in the Sun. And there's a point later on in the song where he goes, I want Weezer the band on this one. You already got them. It was bad.
They
Are we on? Are we going right now?
Yeah,
yes,
we're going. That was our intro.
Correct. The two of them, which first of all, this song is offensive, but somehow not the most offensive song on his new album, Peanuts to an Elephant.
Yes.
is
Oh my god. Oh my god.
so awful.
It
so
sounds
awful.
it sounds like the soundtrack to Frogger. And what's worse to me is that it was produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Correct. Yeah. No, that's really bad.
How?
I don't know. Hey, whoa. The Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hey,
No,
the Hamilton.
no.
The Hamilton 10-year,
No, dude.
Hamilton 10-year
No,
reunion.
no.
Medley went crazy last night.
Yes, it did.
Hamilton
but
has
this was
done irreversible damage to the the theater industry.
But now you're out here with this yoinky sploinky beat where it goes boing 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 boing.
I'll be so for real. I haven't heard it yet.
Well,
It is
listen,
bad. It is bad. I won't play it because it is copyrighted,
right.
and I do not
Right.
want whoever Lil Wayne's representation just swinging down on us.
Lin-Manuel Miranda's lawyer is no joke, dude. I'm telling you.
But genuinely, it goes boing 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 boing, and there's elephant trumpeting just randomly interspersed throughout this
Right.
song, and the lyrics aren't good either.
No,
Like he constantly
he's
compares
never
a
been
woman.
particularly phenomenal lyricist,
No.
but this project was not great.
There's
I
also
will say this though. If we're talking about Island, whatever it's called, not
Island
the
Holiday.
not the worst Lil Wayne Weezer collab.
What?
It's crazy to think about the fact that there's multiple Lil Wayne and Weezer collabs. But there are, and this one was not the worst.
Those Venn diagrams are so far apart.
Because the first one came out, what year did Ratitude come out? Like, that was like 2008, 2009. So it's like 15 years apart. They're like, hey, I have another good idea. Let's try this again. It didn't work either time. It did not work either time.
So
Do you guys want to talk about baseball or?
let's talk about baseball before we get to. Oh, don't validate John.
Welcome back to the curdling apple toss. Don't validate John. Note, don't validate John. Note, do not validate John.
I'm telling you what. Another John Sansoni banger on Twitter. I'm just saying. Another banger on Twitter.
So I have a topic that we can start the show with today because it's timely, it's relevant. It just came out this morning. I don't even know if you guys have seen this yet or not, but the 4th of July hats just dropped.
Oh, how do I?
Are they bad?
I am going to send you guys the message on Twitter right now, so somebody vamp for time while I am doing this. Just kidding. I don't
Now,
need
normally,
I might did it myself.
Later in the show, we'll talk about how the White Sox are going to win 60 games this year.
Oh, are the Braves? No.
So if you gentlemen will direct your attention to
There we go.
X the Everything app, you will see a post that I just shared with you, including this year's
blue.
Why are you blue?
They are they're. Wow, my phone is not.
I'm afraid that I've glued myself.
Why?
They're blue.
Why? What is the basis between having a red brim and a blue brim.
An NL
This
and AL.
happens every year.
No, it isn't.
It's
Wait, no,
not
the
so
Astros have a. Wait, hold
Yeah.
on, what?
They
Maybe
do this
home and
every year.
away?
They just randomly pick teams. I don't get
Is
it.
it home? Is
Is
it
it-
home and away?
Home and away, maybe.
Oh, it could be home and away.
Is this
Like,
what
who
is
are the-
this?
July
July,
4th.
right?
Also, hilarious. This happens every year, but hilarious that Toronto has to wear a 4th of July hat.
But they get to wear a red logo. So it's
Yeah, but the
technically
hat's red, white, and blue. Like, come on, guys.
the hat's
Okay,
red, and light blue.
Bro, where are the Colorado Rockies?
Okay, so it's actually not home and away because the Orioles are playing the Braves and they're both wearing blue.
Well, the Sox and the Rockies are playing, and they're blue and red. So
Yeah, that's true. The Rockies-
Wow.
So there's a
Wow.
lot of things about this hat that are offensive, I guess is the word that I'll use. But the thing that I hate the most is the
Oh, it's
string.
I
I
hate
don't mind the string hat, but when you're wearing a string hat to play baseball,
yeah,
it looks bad.
yeah.
That's a fashion hat. That's not an on-field
I
hat.
agree.
Like, what
It's
is
just a
doing?
giveaway
like
on Saturday.
look, this is not an intramural interfrat baseball game on your rec field.
Correct.
Yes, it is.
This is Major League Baseball.
I'm going to that game on July 4th. I'm going to sit in the 400 section,
Happy
general
birthday,
admission.
John.
Yay.
Woo.
With 6 of my closest friends and one of my close friends' girlfriends who I've never met before. And
So 7 of
sit
your
in-
closest.
so 7 of my closest friends and sit in the nosebleeds and watch the Braves get pummeled by the Baltimore Orioles somehow. And both of them are going to be wearing blue caps with ropes.
So
This
the hat that
Why
I'm
are they
wearing,
blue?
Why are they blue? The hat that I'm wearing today, as you guys can see if you're watching on YouTube or if you're in this recording with us currently. Hello,
Or if you're
both of
watching
you.
on Spotify,
You can tell from my hat that I am actually wearing a 4th of July hat. This ever 4th of July hat. The first time that Major League Baseball decided that they were going to wear alternate caps, they made everything red top to bottom and then just had American flag in the logo. This is actually a reprint, as you can tell by its 10th anniversary on the inside of the bill, because I was a young lad when these first came out, and I did have an original, but it was youth size, so it doesn't fit me anymore. All of this is to say the changes that we've gone through from everybody just wearing a plain red bill with the American flag logo to this amalgamation that we have in front of us today. It's not the worst 4th of July hat we've ever had. It's far from the worst 4th of July hat we've ever had. But it's not good, and I think we've lost the plot.
I legitimately think they like call up the intern and they go, "You want to do something real quick? Red, white, and blue is the theme. Have fun."
If I was the czar of baseball, I would go back to the second year, not the first year, but the second year they ever made these 4th of July hats. Red bill, a white top, and the American flag for every single team. And I would just run that back every single year. It looked so nice. Why tinker with it?
I
Right?
like the one that I have. I'm not wearing it, obviously, but it's the I think it's red bill, blue hat, and then they did like all the old logos.
And they were like the chrome plastic logos, correct?
No, they're stitched in like that one
Interesting.
is, and like this.
I had
one
a
is.
chrome plasticky one from 2018. I think it was a Dodgers one. Did not like the material of that hat at all.
Yeah, no, I think these are maybe 2019, 2020.
Okay, interesting.
Maybe 2017. I don't know.
I don't know if this is a specifically 4th of July one, but I had this one that was the Braves Navy cap, had the silhouette of the state of Georgia on it with the American flag infill, and then the Braves logo on the side, I think. I don't know. It turned out it was my sister's hat. I don't know why I had it, but the point being, like, it was a pretty nice hat, and it was relatively simple. You ended up with a good motif. It didn't look too jarring because you're still using the cap color fans are used to. and then you just throw everything out the window. Also, they already use light blue for Father's Day.
Correct. Yeah.
Why go back to the well and confuse the visual branding even more?
Yeah.
Stupid.
They use that. We've gotten to a point now where there's just too many alternate caps, right? Because we get the standard everyday cap, and most teams, I would say, have 2 or 3 different hats they wear. For the Braves, for example, like maybe you have one that's all the way blue, and then there's a blue with a red bill or things like
Yep.
that, where it's just like small changes. The Rockies, for example, have one with the purple bill, one with just the black bill. They used to wear an all purple, which looked frankly awful, so they don't do that anymore. But most teams have 3 main hats. Then you add your City Connect hat, that's a 4th. And then you have the 4th of July, and then we have Memorial Day. Sometimes they do Father's Day, sometimes they do Mother's Day. We have the All-Star Game hat. And by the way, batting
Military-
practice, spring
Military
training,
appreciation.
military appreciate. Like, how many hats are too many?
However many
2, 'cause you only got
However
one head.
many the league is going to let New Era do, they're going to do. And I think there are a few where I don't mind it. It seems like the players, really like the Mother and Father's Days ones. At the very least, it seems like a nice little gesture. You can get into a lot of cross branding with how important parents are to the upbringing of an athlete.
But also, to a certain extent, you see with Mother's and Father's Day, the players will wear pink batting gloves or blue batting gloves.
Right.
Maybe different hats and
And-
cleats. Like, is that enough? Do we need
And,
a
like,
hat on top of that?
Why not just with Memorial Day? It was the patch. It was the poppy.
Correct.
That's it. You don't need to
And now we
have
have
one
the ugly camo hats, that
right.
they change
Have
every
a
year.
little
There's never been a good one.
ribbon or something.
Yeah,
you
there's
know.
never been a good one of those.
But plenty of teams have plenty of hats. Like the Cardinals will just randomly wear a navy blue hat whenever they feel like it. I don't even know what the rules are for when they wear that navy blue hat. No one's
They have
ever
one
explained
hat
it to me.
They only wear on Sundays.
Sure, whatever. It's a historic franchise. I'm not going to chase them down for it. But those are cases where extra is enough.
But what I think is so funny is that
yeah.
there's no rules for hats. You
Correct.
can have as many as you want. You're going to have 60 of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, actually, you can only have 4 uniform combinations. I'm sorry. Nope, you can only have 4. And maybe you can only even have 3. Maybe we'll change it. You can only have 3.
And
it's
if you
okay,
want
so-
to, and you get this one for a 3-year span, but if you really like it, you can keep it, but you have to get rid of one of your alternates if you want to keep this one. We're still going to make you a new temporary one, but you need to get rid of one if you want to keep this one.
Right. Like the Sox, they still wear the Southside uniforms. They wear the Bulls Chicago uniforms.
Which are
Then
I saw one of those in person for the first time this week. Really bad.
They're
really
not too bad. There were a bunch that came on Saturday, but and then they have the grays and the pinstripes, but now on Sundays they don't wear the 83 jerseys anymore. And it's like, okay, well, I think every Sox fan would have given up getting these ugly Bulls jerseys to keep the 83 jerseys that they only wore on Sunday home games. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there's some teams like the Twins, for example, that have their 4 uniform combinations and a different hat for every one of them. Like a different standard hat for every one of them, including different logos. And we've jumped the shark. Team branding is at an all-time low.
Do we want to go through the AL, NL, and Interleague?
Sure.
I suppose that's what we normally do on this show. So I guess
Typically we
can
do.
We'll start with the American League because both of Adam and John got swept this week. In the American League, the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, a tale as old as time, a rivalry written in stone, and by stone I don't mean those glowing tablets that one guy found then moved to Salt Lake City. Game 1, 9-6 win for the Yankees. Jazz Chisholm, a 3-run home run. Volpe goes yard with 2. Goldschmidt, home run. Devers and Meyer each have home runs as well, but not enough. The Yankees win at 9-6. Boston takes the next 2, 10-7 in game 2. Boston scores 5 runs in the top of the third. Romy Gonzalez has a 2-run shot as well. They win that one 10-7. 11-7 in game 3. For the Red Sox. Judge has a 2-run home run. Christian Campbell goes with the 2-run home run. LeMahieu a home run. Navarez a 3-run home run. Abraham Toro is on the Red Sox with the home run. Trevor Story, Devers, another home run there. And Judge, again, another 2-run shot. Not enough, though, as Boston takes the series. Houston and Cleveland. Not a rivalry etched in stone. 4-2. Houston wins game 1. Brendan Rodgers with the home run, and Christian Walker has 2 RBIs. 5-3 in game 2 for the Astros. Diaz has a 2-run home run. Top of the 10th. Houston scores 2 on a wild pitch and a single to win the game there. And then 4-2 in game 3. Cleveland wins it. Bo Naylor a 2-run home run. Tanner Bybee 5.1 innings pitched, 5 hits, 6 Ks. The Royals and the White Sox in Chicago, a 7-2 win for the Sox in game 1. Garcia and Pasquantino each have homers early, then Tauchman homers, and the White Sox score 5 in the bottom of the 8th, including on a wild pitch and an error. The Royals went full White Sox in that bottom of the 8th inning. Game 2, a 4-1 win for the White Sox. Elko, a 2-run shot. Chase Mydrith has his 2nd home run of the year, and Adrian Hauser goes 6 innings pitched, 6 hits, 6 Ks. Game 3, Royals salvage of the series, a 7-5 win. Perez, a 2-run shot. Witt follows, and the White Sox score 3 in the bottom of the 9th, but it's not enough. Toronto and Minnesota, game 1, a 6-4 win for Toronto. Addison Barger, a 2-run home run. Springer goes yard as well, and Bichette has 2 RBIs. 5-4 in game 2. Heineman a home run, and Springer a 2-run shot. That's 2 on the series so far. And game 3, a 6-3 win for the Twins. Brooks Lee with a home run, and Vasquez follows suit. Seattle and the Angels. Game 1, a 5-4 win. Darno has a 2-run home run. Neto, Shanuel, and Taylor each have RBIs as the Angels take it 5-4. 8-6 in game 2 for the Angels. Raleigh has a 3-run home run. Adele homers twice, and then Raleigh homers again. That's 26 on the year. He's leading the league. And a 3-2 win for the Mariners, salvaging the series in game 3. Rosarena, Polanco, and Solano each have RBIs. Baltimore and the Athletics. Wow, these teams both have been on a downturn, but Baltimore's looking up. And then they get beat in a series 2-1 by the Athletics. 5-4 in game 1. Wilson with 2 RBIs. Butler, Rooker, and Soderstrom each have RBIs as the A's win that one. 7-4, Baltimore wins game 2. Laureano a home run, and Kauser a home run. Game 3, a 5-1 win for the Athletics. Max Muncy, the young one, homers, and then Sean Newcomb, 3 innings out of the bullpen, 3 hits, 3 Ks, at locking that one down.
Yeah, really quickly we'll get to the standings out of the American League. Starting in the West, those Sacramento Athletics in last place in the West. They're 11 games back of the Houston Astros, who lead the Mariners by 2.5 games. The Rangers in third. The Angels tied for third, both of them 5.5 games back. This is a 2-horse race for the American League West. In the Central, the Tigers in control. They're 7 games up on second place. Second place, obviously, the Minnesota Twins. Guardians half a game back at them, both of them hanging around wild card position. The Royals 8.5 games out of the division lead, and the Chicago White Sox are there as well. In the American League East, the New York Yankees are the top team. 39-25 is the mark to beat. Tampa Bay Rays and Toronto Blue Jays both 4.5 games back at that. A bit of a surprise shakeup in the East. The Red Sox and the Orioles both well underperforming. They are 8.5 and 13 games out of the division lead, respectively.
You know, just starting bottom to top here in this list, Baltimore is on that uptrend, but these are the series you need to win.
This series caps up a 7-2 run over their last 9 games.
Right. And I think what it does is, you look really good about those 9 games, but the 2 you drop, you got to the bullpen really early in Sacramento, and you couldn't get out of it. You chase their starter early, and you didn't really have anything to show for it. In the game one, you got outpaced by Lawrence Butler, Brent Rooker, Tyler Soderstrom, and Jacob Wilson, a really veritable, hot-hitting young core to be sure. But that's also supposed to be you. You're supposed to have Colton Cowser, Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, even, not to mention him at least. You're supposed to have really hot hitting prospects across the board, and not whole scale, but just in this small sample, the Athletics are doing your thing better than you are. They're doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing, but better. Even comes down to they even addressed their pitching better than you did. Luis Severino has been, was a really surprising move in the past, but has, now he's their frontline starter. Who can you say is your frontline starter? Tomoyuki Sagano, who has been good at eating innings for you, but that's your best pitcher on the staff.
Yeah, I want to talk about Sagano a little bit as well, and he's somebody that they brought in really to be kind of a fifth starter yo-yo guy, and has ended up being their frontline starter. I mean, he's the only guy on the team more than 30 innings pitched and an ERA under 4, which is not good. That's not exactly what you want. But he's been good. He's been better maybe than they even expected when they signed him. And even then, when you're trying to win the series against the Athletics, one of the worst teams in baseball, yesterday, he goes out and he gives up 4 runs in the first inning, and they're buried before the game even starts. Like, they just have had no pitching all year long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, knew it was going to happen.
Correct.
Yeah.
If only somebody on this show had been saying all year that maybe they need to do something to address that. If only we had a resident Baltimore correspondent.
Nah, it's a shame we don't.
Mickey Doolittle?
No, he's not in Baltimore. He's close, but he's not in Baltimore. He's in Boot.
Working for their franchise.
I don't even know. I don't think Chesapeake's actually owned by Baltimore itself. It might be a Diamond baseball thing. Yeah, I know what you mean.
God, shut up, John.
No.
Let's talk about the White Sox. They win 2 of 3 against the Kansas City Royals. What a great game. Game 1 was. I don't know if you guys saw anything from that. The White Sox, got a few guys on. And for some reason, the Royals kept in a pitcher who found the strike zone once every 7 pitches. And it worked. Also, they they went full White Sox. That 8th inning is a 3 or 2 run inning if they don't have a wild pitch. Which, again, I'd like to point out, I know he has a home run in Game 3, but I think Salvador Perez needs to retire. I also don't know if he's anywhere close to what people think of being this, top flight Hall of Famer. I get he's got a lot of the stats.
That we've talked about his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yes, it is.
Listen.
John hates both of the teams in Missouri, and he's very outspoken about hating both of the teams in Missouri. He likes to take a weed whacker to their ankles every chance he.
All I'm saying, obviously, there's all these counting stats or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know if he really
or whatever.
I'll pull it up and make it.
Oh, it's whatever. Whatever those
wild pitch. This wild pitch that they officially scored was a righty pitcher, probably a slider, maybe a sweeper, and Perez is moving to his right, going down to his knees to block it as it's coming in on a lefty, and it bounces off of his chest. I just feel like when you've been in the league for 65 years, you should be able to realize I don't need to slide halfway to Naperville to block this ball.
I would be fascinated to see how much cartilage he still has in his hips and knees right now.
Oh, also, yeah. Dude, an MRI of that guy's body would look very poor.
This is not a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. He doesn't even have 2,000 hits.
So
You can't be a Hall of Famer. He's what?
This will be my one and only comment on the topic. Catcher historically has been the hardest position to value in Major League Baseball. There's no good way to quantify defensive value. There's very little way to quantify good offensive value because they don't play every day. When they do play, sometimes they're taken out of the game in the 7th or 8th innings for fatigue. DHing is not necessarily an option for catchers. I think they're a very, very difficult position to value. And in regards to Hall of Fame candidacies of various catchers, I think they cannot be held to the same standards as an average batter.
Okay, that's
fair. I think Salvador Perez needs to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe not. But I think the barrier for entry is lower.
Like, I get what's he got? 5-time Gold Glove winner, 5-time Silver Slugger, World Series MVP.
Anyone can be a World Series MVP. Anyone can.
Career OPS plus of 104.
Ooh. And that's a guy who's supposed to be a bat first catcher.
Correct.
Yeah, because he's not good on defense.
He's also playing mostly first base at this stage in his career.
Right, because Freddie Fermin is objectively right. But Freddie Fermin is objectively
Joe Mauer, and people consider Joe Mauer to be one of the best catchers. Like it.
34 games this year at first base, 34 games this year behind the plate, 16 at first base, 14 at DH.
And he played a lot more first base last year, and a lot of that is because Pasquantino was hurt for a majority of the year.
44 games at first last year, 9 games behind the dish.
This year, not only is Pasquantino not hurt and also really contributing offensively, but Caglione is now up. And he can play first base. In addition to, they moved him off of first base to corners in the outfield because Pasquantino is kind of entrenched at first.
Also, they badly need corner outfielders.
Right, like who
the hell is Drew Waters?
Hey, not too much on Gwinnett Striper's legend, Drew Waters. Okay.
Also, I'm sorry, it's 2025. Nick Lofton should not be playing Major League Baseball.
They are among the top teams to buy at the deadline, or teams to want to buy at the deadline.
Hey, Kansas City, I got a Jared Kelenic to sell you.
That's honestly not a bad shout.
Just saying. I'm just saying he needs a change of scenery. Again.
We'll talk about that later because I think we need to talk about the Atlanta blowing up part of it.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah, definitely.
Can I quickly talk about the Chicago White Sox starting pitching?
Please.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. For the Chicago White Sox standards, it's surprisingly good. You've got Davis Martin, Sean Burke, Jonathan Cannon, but Shane Smith and John just disappeared into a sea of orange. You've also got Adrian Hauser has a 1.48 ERA in 3 starts. Or 3 or 4 starts. And you picked him up off his couch. Mike Vasile as a swingman, 1.3 ERA. This is a team that is really starting to build their identity around strong starting pitchers. Not to mention in the minor leagues, you've got this bevy of talent that is going to be coming up. Jairo Iriarte is getting his work in AAA Charlotte. They just moved one of their top prospects to the bullpen to manage his workload, but he's been lights out as a bullpen arm. And you're starting to see the young guys come up and contribute at the top level. With Tim Elko coming up, Mike Tauchman was a waiver wire guy, and he's got a .9 WAR, and he's getting on base at a ridiculous clip. Kyle Teal's up as well. Corey Lee's down for Edgar Cuero. So you're seeing all the young guys are really starting to earn the trust.
That's what you need for a team like the White Sox that's not competitive, hasn't been competitive for a couple years, and maybe is still a couple years away. Just promote the kids and let them play. Like the best way for them to figure it out at the major league level is to have a lot of experience playing at the major league level. And they do have a pretty good depth of talent in the minor league system. It's not
Right.
the best minor league system in baseball. It's maybe not top 5, top 10, but there's at least enough guys that you can see the path forward with them in a way that you maybe can't with the Marlins or with the Rockies, especially.
Right. Like they are trending up.
Braden Montgomery, another name that you didn't mention, somebody that was supposed to be a top 10 pick in the draft last year before he, snapped his leg in half in
Colson
the
Montgomery
baseball postseason, but Colson Montgomery as well. Like there's just a lot of guys that this White Sox team has, further down in the minors that
right.
are getting pushed through and will crack the major league roster, maybe not this year, but next year. And you're getting to the point in that rebuild where you can see maybe the light at the end of the tunnel. You're not there, and you won't be there for a couple of years, but you can maybe start seeing that.
Right.
Okay, I do apologize. I did to leave and come back. I don't know. I assume we're talking about the young guys, right?
Yes.
I did want to kind of mention that infield of what they're running right now of like Elko at first, Rojas at second, Mydroth at short, and Vargas at third kind of suddenly seems like this is what it is.
Right.
And now that they've played a good amount of games together, they're like gelling really well, which is nice. They're also all playing very well. Yeah, I don't know. You guys mentioned Colson Montgomery, and I would argue that I don't think he'll make the major leagues with the White Sox.
Oh, really?
He's currently hitting 195 in minor league ball this year.
Yeah.
It happens. Slow starts happen. What I will say about this infield, this major league infield, you mentioned right now specifically, are two guys that weren't necessarily highly rated prospects. I mean, Elko especially. Yeah, he was a famous guy in college because he's got a very inspiring story, won a national championship with Ole Miss, DHing full-time with a torn ACL. Like, that's a story that needs to be told. But also, you have to remember that he was drafted as a DH first and foremost. He was drafted as a DH, and he was a 10th rounder because they thought that he was not going to grade out defensively anywhere. Is he a good defensive first baseman? No, but he can hit the ball really well. And he's climbed through the minors at kind of a pretty prolific clip, maybe more so than anybody expected out of a 10th rounder. If you can turn him not even into an everyday major, as an everyday fifth infielder, backup DH, like that's a huge win for your development team.
Yeah, I also think the other thing is interesting is the Sox have called up Kyle Teal on Friday or Thursday night. And then Cuero's still up. Corey Lee's still a part of the organization. And they're doing a weird thing where they're like, well, Cuero's going to catch today, but then Kyle Teal will be the DH. And Kyle Teal will catch tomorrow, and Cuero will be the DH because neither of them can be taken out of the lineup right now. They're both... Well, Teal has got to get his sea legs in the league. So, they don't want to, give him 3 days off or whatever. So they've been... Yeah,
you don't want to call up one of your top prospects and let him bench for 3 days. Right, Red Sox? Right, Red Sox?
Right, Braves? Drake Baldwin.
So
go ahead.
My team's doing it right? My team's doing it right. But, I think, those two, Cuero and Teal, too, those two, Kyle Teal is going to be a very, very good major league catcher.
I would agree.
He's probably going to be one of the best defensive catchers in the league if he stays healthy for the next 10 years. Now, that may be on the White Sox or not, but, whatever. I hope he's on the White Sox. I'd pick him over Cuero, but if I had to make a decision, I'd keep both of them.
We do have to get to the National League and to interleague play, but before we do that, I want to make one quick statement. Do not elaborate on it further and then jump forward. The Boston Red Sox, who are awful, just took 2 out of 3 from the New York Yankees, who are very good.
On to the interleague. Because the Braves and the Colorado Rockies got swept, which means no losses is better than 6 losses. Yeah. Miami and
Come on.
Miami and Tampa Bay. The Rays win game 1, 4-3. Aranda, 2 RBIs on a 2-for-4 day. Mangum and Thais each have RBIs as well. 11-10 win for the Marlins in game 2. Christopher Morel, a 3-run homer. Jesus Sanchez, a 3-run homer. Danny Jansen goes yard. Morel goes yard again. Taylor Walls with the 2-run homer. One of the lows, homer to tie, and then in the 10th, in the top of the 10th, Heriberto Hernandez with the RBI single. In game 3, a 3-2 win for the Rays. Yandy Diaz has a 2-run home run. Texas and the Washington Nationals, a 2-0 win for the Nationals in game 1. Alex Call is a home goes pitch 2 hits, 7 Ks. Game 2, 5-0 win for the Rangers. Semien has 3 RBIs and DeGrom, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 8 Ks. The new glove is working. Game 3, 4-2 win for the Rangers. Carter, 2-run home run, and Barger as well. That's not right. Berger?
What, Ashton Barger?
Isn't he on the Toronto Blue Jays?
Yes. What?
Yeah, so I think that's supposed to be Berger.
Probably supposed to be Burger.
The Cubs and the Detroit Tigers. 3-1 win for the Tigers in game 1. Torque with a home run. Hamai Jones with a home run, and Scooble, 7.2 innings pitched. 1 earned run, 6 Ks. 6-1 win for the Cubs in game 2. Suzuki, a home run. Bush, a 2-run home run. PCA goes yard, so does Matt Shaw, and Suzuki leaves the yard for a second time in the game. Game 3, a 4-0 win for Detroit. Torque, 2 RBI double. Green, a 2 RBI single. And Flaherty goes 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, 9 Ks.
I think we're at the point now where it's deep enough in the season that we can start talking about the Detroit Tigers as if they're legitimate World Series contenders. Like, this is not a hot start. This is just a really hot team. They just went and took 2 out of 3 from, by record, the second best team in the National League. In actuality, probably like the 4th best team in the National League, but still, National League has historically been kind of the better league than the AL in recent years. And to see the AL come out and dominate a top flight team like that, I mean, is just further proof to me that this Detroit team is real and they're here to stay. They're hitting the ball really well. They've got the best pitcher on the planet, and Terry Skubal, who is another guy that, was, I think it was like a 7th round draft pick when he was taken however many years back. And the job that franchise has done developing him cannot possibly be understated enough. But this is a very complete ball club. They're playing against maybe a little bit of a weaker division. All right. And that matters to a certain extent, but they're winning the games they need to win. And when they're playing against other top flight teams, they're beating them too. This is a legitimate, really good team.
And your 1-2 punch. Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
Not to mention, when you've got Tariq Skubal, Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, Jackson Joe, Reese Olson, Kader Montero. You're running a 6-man rotation, but your bullpen has a really great 1-2 punch in Tommy Kahnle and Will Vest as your setup and your closer guys. Tommy Kahnle
must be like 75 at this point.
Tommy Kahnle is 35 years old with a 1.2 WAR. He's, I believe, going into the game yesterday, just over 80% changeup usage. Obviously, because that's just he just throws changeups. He just throws changeups, and they work. Not to mention Will Vest, at his age 30 season, a 1.4 WAR, 1.67 ERA, 10 saves in 32 1/3 innings. He is shoving, and it's helpful to know that this isn't a case of the mid 2010s Mets where you've got great pitching and no offense. This is a complete ball club, which. You tell me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is 5 years ago, the Tigers were the worst team in the division. No doubt.
Right.
And now it's no doubt they're the best team, I think, in the American League right now. And I legitimately, this could be the World Series, the Cubs in Detroit. Things have to go right. Somebody's got to knock off the Dodgers. But in a 5-game series, you got to
that could 100% end up happening. That could 100% end up being the World Series.
And I think it would go similar to this. I think that
Detroit would just watch them.
Detroit would win it, yeah. But John, you're right. Like the thing is, too, is the Tigers do it in different ways. Like if they have to win a game by out hitting the other team like 11 runs to 9, they'll do it.
They totally can.
Right.
And if they need to win a game 1-0, they got Tarek Skubal and they got the back end of that bullpen ready to go. Like, and they're okay with that. That's like Torkelson said in an interview or whatever. It was like, sometimes we have to do it. Sometimes our pitching has to do it. It's whatever. It's for, like, basically the whole speech of, like, it's for this name on the front, not the name on the back. We're literally just trying to win a World Series. So.
Tommy Kahnle is in year 11 of Major League Baseball. And this season, he is currently sporting his best career ERA plus by over 130 points. When the PED, not if, but when the PED suspension comes down, I, for one, won't be shocked.
Wow.
Tommy Kahnle, all-time bad teammate, according to multiple former Colorado Rockies.
I think everybody's a bad teammate in the Rockies. I just think it's hard to just suck.
Yeah, that actually is
like,
a good.
Like, and that's not just like a thing against the Rockies. Like that, it is hard to just suck.
You
Like,
play
I think most people were bad teammates on the Sox last year. Like,
if you lose 100 times in a summer, you're going to be angry too. Like it just.
Exactly.
And especially as a pitcher, where when you go home, where you're supposed to be the best, that your pitches play worse, where you're going to perform worse in front of your fans, that's gonna wear on you mentally. It's just going to. We haven't even gotten to the showing of the Rockies over the past 3 games, which is
do we want
bad.
To?
We have to. We should.
I don't think I have anything else on any of these teams other than the fact that the Rays are second in the American League East.
Yeah, that I had them in our preseason predictions higher, I think, than you guys did, but I think I had them 3rd or 4th, and you guys had them last. So this has been a very big surprise for them, but I think equally as big a surprise in how bad the Orioles and Red Sox have been. I think that's maybe had more to do it than the Rays themselves.
It's egg on my face on that one. So, oh well.
Let's go to the National League.
In the National League, we have poop games. Poop game.
Poop games.
Poop game. Philly and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh gets the sweep over the Phils. 5-4 winning game 1. Reynolds a home run. Henry Davis run home. They win that one. A 2-1 win in game 2. Schwarber goes yard, but Henry Davis goes yard again. And Andrew Heaney goes 6 innings pitch at 5 strikeouts, baby. Game 3, a 2-1 win for Pittsburgh. They do it again, baby. McCutchen and Triolo each have RBIs, and Skeens wins a 7.2 innings pitch, 2 hits, 7 Ks for Mr. Paul Skeens. Must have been watching Livy Dunn on the runway. The Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds. The Reds take the sweep of the Diamondbacks. 4-3 win in game 1. Marte a 2-run homer. Perdomo a 2-run homer. But then Friedel has a 2-run shot. Christian Encarnacion Strand has a home run and an RBI double in the bottom of the 10th for the walk-off. Game 2, a 13-1 win for Cincinnati. Lux has a home run. That's 4 RBIs on the day. Encarnacion Strand has 3 RBIs and a home run, and Steer has 2 RBIs for those Reds. And the Big Red Machine keeps going. 4-2 winning game 3. Encarnacion Strand has a home run again. Trevino a home run, and McClain a 2-run run. The Padres and the Milwaukee Brewers. 2-0 win for the Padres in game 1. Machado a home run. Vasquez 2 hits, 2 Ks. 4-2 win for the Milwaukee Brew Club. Caleb Durbin has the walk-off here in the bottom of the 9th on the home run, and then a 1-0 win for the Padres as Machado has the homer to finish out the series. The Dodgers and St. Louis play one of the most confusing. I opened the MLB app and go, what is going on? Happening series. 5-0 win for St. Louis in game 1. Pedro Paz has 2-run home run, and Donovan has a 2 RBI double. Contreras also homers on the day. A 2-1 win in game 2 for the bottom of the 9th. Nolan Arenado RBI single for the walk-off. Apparently it was actually scored a double. I don't know who wrote that in. What happened? and a 7-3 win for the Dodgers. Betts home run, Edmund 3 RBIs, and Kim has 2 RBIs. New York Mets and the Colorado Rockies. The Mets get the sweep over the worst team to ever play baseball. 4-2 win in Game 1. Moniak has a home run. I threw that in for you, bud. Top of the 9th, Lindor has a 2 RBI double for the lead. 8-1 win for the Mets in Game 2. Mauricio has a home run. Jared Young, McNeil each have home runs. Game 3, a 13-5 win for the Mets. McNeil, Alonso, McNeil again, Brett Brady, Alonso, and Alvarez all have home runs. And then Atlanta and the San Francisco Giants, the matchup between the two people I hate the most, John Sansoni and Mickey Doolittle. The fighting Mickey Doolittle win the fighting, or as I like to call them, the trembling John Sansonis. 5-4 winning Game 1, bottom of the 10th. Tyler pitch and John starting. 3-2 in Game 2. Flores has a home run. Chapman a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th. 4-D walk-off. And Game 3 a 4-3 win for those Gigantes. Yastrzemski has 3 RBIs in the day, and Roop has 6 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, 2 Ks. Which of you would like to talk first about your team getting absolutely blasted over the weekend?
Adam, go through the standings.
We have to go to the standings, and we'll start, as we always do, in the NL West, where the Los Angeles Dodgers, the best team in baseball, is 1 game up on both the Padres and the Giants. Both the Padres and the Giants currently holding a wild card spot. The Arizona Diamondbacks, 7.5 games back. They are dead and buried. And in the National League Central, we have the Chicago Cubs in first place. We talked about them a little bit earlier. 4 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals, who currently also hold a wild card. I think it's time we talk about the Cardinals as legitimate contenders, unfortunately. The Brewers, 5.5 back, 2.5 out of a wild card spot. Might be time to talk about their window being closed. The Reds are 7.5 out, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, 14.5 back of the Central. That's very bad. The New York Metropolitans currently lead the NL East. They have the best record in the National League, the second best record in baseball, 42-24. And I honestly don't think they've played their best baseball yet, which is kind of scary to think about. The Phillies, 4.5 back. They are currently in a wild card spot. And then the rest of the division goes Nationals, Braves, Marlins, all of which at least 11 games out.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
You want
to go first?
I would like to share with you guys a tweet from Twitter user Nugget Chef. Nugget Chef shares, and I quote, Paul Skeens over his last 7 starts. 1.12 ERA. 1 win. Welcome back, Jacob deGrom.
At least it was in the poop game.
It was in the poop series.
Yeah, poop series.
It's true.
Poop series.
It's true. I'm really surprised they swept.
Putting the O's on the board. He did his part, and thankfully his offense also did their part. So there was a lot of poop this week.
Dude, call that a laxative. Oh! Okay. Do you want to talk about the Rockies, or do you want me to talk about the Braves?
No, I'll talk about the Rockies.
Yeah.
We won a series. That happened last week. We won a series against the Miami Marlins. It was the first time in 22 tries that we had won a series. The last series before that we won, and this is true, knocked the Arizona Diamondbacks out of the playoffs. So I think we're doing great, honestly. Like, I think our team's doing pretty good.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Sorry about your Braves, man.
2 walk-offs in 3 games.
Yeah, that's not what you want.
I want to just start by saying that this offense is bad.
I would agree.
And Adam, and you and I had a discussion about this yesterday. John was also in the group chat, but chose not to contribute.
Same as normal.
About Drake
I was doing
Baldwin.
something. I just don't remember. Oh, I was
Crawling.
crawling my butt off.
That's the one.
Right. You were busy. Right now, the Braves have had 15 games since Ronald Acuna Jr. has been back from the IL. They have won, I believe, 3 of those games. The Braves have had 2 7-game losing streaks this year.
Hey, we've had 4, so you got to catch up, bud.
Well, they haven't had one of those in multiple years. This has been, I think since 2014, if I'm remembering correctly. Since they
Sounds like we're running laps around you guys again. I don't know what to tell you. Colorado
and
excellent.
I would love to point at one specific part of this team that is underperforming, and I really can't. The starting pitching has been okay, but everything else has been bad. This offense, your normal contributors aren't there. Michael Harris has genuinely turned into an offensive liability. Even though Riley and Olsen are slightly above average in OPS at just around 800, they're not performing. It's not actually doing anything for this team. Drake Baldwin is your second best hitter by OPS. Ronald Acuna is first. Drake Baldwin is still ceding playing time to Sean Murphy. At this point, and when he is out of the lineup, he is not in at DH. Marcell Ozuna has not played a game that not at DH. You have to put him in the lineup. I'm sorry. It just has to be that way. Because right now he's one of the few players that is putting the ball in play with runners in scoring position. The bullpen of this team is genuinely disastrous. If you've seen Oppenheimer, you both have seen Oppenheimer, right?
Right.
Multiple times.
Do you know the scene where it cuts to like a bunch of these like scenes of like atoms flying around this like center, and like it'll cut to like Oppenheimer like drumming his fingers on his temple like this, just like, you know, because he's thinking about what he's wrought upon the world. Every time I watch Brian Snitker, never change his expression, just go and bring Rafael Montero in, or bring, you know, or hey, remember Craig Kimbrell?
Yeah, we need to talk about that as well.
So the Braves have had Craig Kimbrell in AAA all year. He's been okay actually, just over a 2 ERA. He's been their main closer. Velocity a little bit down because, you know, he's towards the end of his career, throwing about 92, 93, but still, you know, he's locating relatively well. It's reported that he called the Braves about a month ago and said, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready if you need me. I feel like I'm built up enough." And this is a time when the Braves desperately needed help because Raisel Iglesias has been kicked out of the closer position because he's bad. He's really bad. The Braves don't call him up. Cut to Game 2 against the Giants, I believe. Was it Game 2? Craig Kimbrell is...
It might have been Game 1, actually.
Earlier in the series, he gets called up.
Why does he get called up? Let's start there. Why does he get called up?
Because Raisel Iglesias blew up. Raisel Iglesias gave up a game where the Braves had a 91% chance to win, and gave up multiple runs in the inning. Here, let me pull up a specific stat line for why he was demoted. It was an 11-10 win against the Arizona an 11-10 win for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He had 0.2 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, and 1 walk. He did not strike out a single batter. That raised his season ERA to 6.75. Scott Blewett, granted, 1 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 5 earned runs, two walks right before that. He is now on the ball.
Should have brought in Scott Closes it instead.
Well, Scott Blewett actually hasn't even been that bad this year, but I'm going to get there.
He's currently a Baltimore Oriole. So
they DFA Scott Blewett for Craig Kimbrell. Not a move I agree with. Again, Rafael Montero still on this team. Craig Kimbrell gets 3 outs. He gets these 3 outs by getting a caught stealing at second base, picking off a runner at first base, and then striking Wilmer Flores out swinging. Great homecoming, and everyone's thinking, oh man, I can't wait to see Craig Kimbrell at home, your all-time saves leader in franchise history. Right? Wouldn't you love to see Craig Kimbrell? He gets DFA'd the next day. He is being paid a prorated $2 million salary in a bullpen that just needs arms. He gets DFA'd to bring up Austin Cox, who gets sent down a day later. What? And he gets sent down to bring up Jose Ruiz. Jose Ruiz, by the way, was just DFA'd by the Phillies because he hasn't been good this year.
Or ever.
You're shuffling deck chairs on the Titanic. At this point, why deflate the ego of the already down team and the already down fan base? They're booing at Truist Park. I've never been at a game where they booed at Truist Park. They're booing. Actively, they're booing when Brian Snitker gets announced. They're booing when anyone in the bullpen gets announced. It's bad. It's bad out there. And instead of just, nostalgia blinders and whatnot, is Craig Kimbrell necessarily a great closer right now? No. But he's an arm in the bullpen. Use the arm in the bullpen. You don't have anyone else. There's nowhere else to go. The worst case scenario for you was that Raisel Iglesias was going to blow up this year, and that happened. You can't afford to be picky. There's nothing to be picky about.
Yeah, I mean, the Kimbrell situation specifically bugs me for a different reason. And first of all, yes, you're absolutely right. This team is desperate for arms. Like, could they use him? Absolutely. Is it a mistake for them to not have him on the roster? Yes, absolutely. But the thing that bugs me is not that. The thing that bugs me is that they let him rot in AAA for 2.5 months before calling him up, and then they give him one game in front of an away crowd before casting him off, right? This is not a journeyman pitcher. This is not a Tommy Kahnle, for example. This is a franchise icon. This is your all-time saves leader. Like, he deserves to go out on his own terms. He means that much to you as a franchise, and the way that the Braves did him in the last week was very raw and very to him, and that just does not necessarily, even not as a Braves fan, that's something that doesn't sit right with me. Like, I feel bad for Craig Kimbrell. Talking a little bit more about the lineup, because you mentioned that, and I did share Drake Baldwin. We expressed this in the group chat yesterday, but at a certain point, the Braves are going to be faced with the reality that you cannot keep Drake Baldwin out of this lineup anymore. Right, there's going to come a point this season where they have to play Drake Baldwin 24/7, and you're not going to play him at catcher 24/7 because Sean Murphy is a very defensive catcher. Like, he is your guy. You've made that quite clear that he's going to be the starting guy behind the dish. So on the days where Drake Baldwin isn't behind the dish, either you have to swallow your pride and stick Ozuna back in the outfield and let him or you have to stick Baldwin in the outfield and punt on defense. And I think that's maybe the more realistic of the two. Is you say, Drake, learn how to play left field, because we cannot keep trying out Alex Verdugo. We can't do it. I won't. You can't make me. I won't do it. The issue you're going to run into if you're the Braves is, does it take you so long to come to that realization that you're not even in the wild card race? And I hope for your sake, John, that they come to that realization rather quickly. But based off of the way that this organization is run, based off of the way that this team has been, treated from a front office standpoint over the last 5 to 10 years, I just don't necessarily see that being the case. And then, of course, there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations in the offseason about, hey, is Michael Harris really somebody that we see in our future plans? Is Austin Riley really somebody that we see in our future plans? Because there's a lot of shuffling that this team is going to have to do. And I'm not sure that I, as a neutral fan, am not sure that this front office is the right people to be making the correct decisions there.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah. I mean, like, you're 9.5 games back out of the wild card right now. And my thing with that is like, if you do not make up ground by June 20th, which is 11 days from now, if you don't make up anything, or if you even fall back, you got to start looking at who you're going to trade.
Correct.
Because you got to get something. You have to get something back for Ozuna because he may not resign, and he's on his walk here.
Yeah,
you've got Rice Iglesias. I know he sucks, but like change of scenery, you could convince somebody to take him. Like, you know what I mean?
Right. That's how you got him in the first place from the Angels.
Right. Yes, dude. Like people will pay anything for
For
right
like we said earlier, Kelenic. Like a lot of these guys that are like on their walk years, at some point in mid-June, you have to realize, all right, well, let's hope they play good for the next month or so, because you're going to have to trade them.
Here's the issue, though. This is a front office that is insular. Much like the Rockies, they trust their guys to the point where they have historically traded for very small pieces in the offseason. And even in that 21 World Series year, the pieces they brought in were Jorge Soler and Jock Peterson, both of whom were slightly overperforming in their respective teams that they were traded from. It was expected to just be a patch job because Acuna wasn't going to be there. It was just which outfielders can we grab? They are resistant to bringing in new talent at the trade deadline. There's a reason why the Chris Sale trade was so shocking. There was a reason why the Chris Sale deal was so shocking, was because they brought in a high-end talent who no one thought was going to be this high-end, like Cy Young winning, but it was someone that you recognize as a contributor when healthy. They didn't do anything in the offseason, save for Jurickson Profar and Alex Verdugo, and need I remind you that Jurickson Profar is suspended for PEDs, and Alex Verdugo is bad. But everything else that you've done, you trotted Eddie Rosario out there a little bit again. Why'd you bring him back? You didn't need to. Eli White is having to play way more than he did, and he's okay for Eli White. Just at some point, you need to realize that you are one of the largest brands in baseball. You are a large market team. You have the money. You have signed all of your talent to long-term deals so that you had the money. Use the money. What are you saving it for? At what point do you realize there are no position player prospects? Drake Baldwin and Nacho Alvarez, who just started his rehab assignment, were the only two. That's it. You've got like a shortstop in single A and these two guys. You have to do something, because right now your formula of the Iron 9 that you're never subbing in or out, that Brian Snitker refuses to change around, is not working. Something has to happen.
It's going to get to a point, I think, where we talk about this Braves, this era of Braves baseball as a dynasty that could have been and wasn't. And the reality of that, I think, falls on the shoulders of a lot of failed prospects, a lot more failed prospects than anybody is willing to really talk about. You look over on the pitching side, and you have guys like Kyle Wright. You have guys like Ian Anderson, who were at one point supposed to be, your new guard. You had Mike Soroka, who was phenomenal for his rookie season before his leg turned into pulled pork. And to their credit, Spencer Strider has been great through all of it. Like, Max Fried has been great through it, but they couldn't keep him home. They couldn't keep Dansby Swanson home, and the guys that they did, Harris, maybe aren't the guys that you needed. Marcelo Zuna, maybe not the guy that you needed. Like, this was a team that was set up for a very, very long period of contending, and they still could get there. They still absolutely could get there. But from the way that it looks right now, like, might be a one ring and done.
Freddie Freeman put a hex on them.
Oh, God, what I wouldn't give to have Freddie Freeman back.
Freddie Freeman
and I love
the league in the first place. By the way, I just want to put.
I know, I love Matt Olson, and this has been a well-worn path. Many ink and many pixels have been spilled over this issue. What I wouldn't give to have Freddie Freeman at first base right now. Anyway,
have Gavin Sheets at first base.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the grid.
Let's go to the grid.
John, what's the grid?
The grid is a 3x3. The Immaculate Grid is a 3x3 grid with 3 rows and 3 columns. Your intersections are you have to name a player that matches the stats, teams, awards that are in that row and column. What's the grid, John?
And the rows are those beautiful Colorado Rockies, the Milwaukee Brewers in a 6+ WAR season, and the Cubs are in column 1. 2,000 plus hits in a career are in row 2 or column 2, and played outfield a minimum of 1 game is in column 3. Is anybody, as in Adams, there's a whole row of his.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to do my whole row if you want, or I could go one at a time and we can, take turns. Let's start with played outfield minimum 1 game. Friend of the program, Noel Cuevas.
0.03%. Got anything else for us? Or?
Yeah, I thought we were going to take turns, but it's okay. I can keep going.
Please.
2,000 hits. A guy that not a lot of people know played for the Rockies is friend of the program, and a guy that I own a jersey of, Dale Murphy.
It's true.
2%.
Would anybody like to share one, or should I close this? Close this out.
Brewers played outfield minimum of 1 game. I'm thinking either Mark Canha or Brian Anderson. Do Brian Anderson.
All right, sure.
Yeah, I would go with Anderson as well.
Which Brian Anderson?
The one that played more recently.
The one that played last year?
Yes, because he played with the Braves last year.
0.03.
Yeah.
Okay.
My Rockies Cubs. My Rockies Cubs contribution is former bullpen arm Zach Roskup. That's spelled Z-A-C, Roskup.
Sure, 0.02.
Brewers 2,000 hits.
Brewers?
Do you think people are thinking about Andrew McCutchen?
No.
Let's do that. Let's do McCutchen.
4%.
And for 2,000 hits, that's not bad. Cubs Brewers. Craig Counsell? No, I'm kidding.
Good poll.
Well, you could do Colin Rea. Or Ree? How do you say his last name? Rea?
Rea.
Yeah, Colin Rea.
4%. Now we just need 6 more seasons.
Yeah, that's easy. Played outfield minimum of 1 game, 6 WAR season. Do they have to be in the same season?
I would assume so.
When paired with a non-team category, does not need to be in the same season. So 6-war season played outfield. William Contreras. Did he have a 6-war season?
It's very hard for a catcher to get to 6-war.
Okay, well.
The answer is no.
The closest that he got in a single season so far to this point in his career is a 4.9 last season.
What about Nick Markakis? Take strike one.
Where am I putting this? I'm sorry.
The 6-war outfielder.
Nick Markakis. 0.1.
Yeah.
For our 2,000 hit 6-war season player, I would like to nominate Matthew Holliday. Father of Jackson and Ethan.
Isn't there a third one?
There might be.
They probably have another brother. Cubs. 6-war season. I'm thinking Anthony Rizzo.
Did he have a 6-win season? I'm sure he did.
Yeah, he did. 2015? Yes.
Could also go with Javier Baez, perhaps.
Well, we're here with the 16 rarity score.
No, never mind then.
The hardest spot on the grid today was Cubs Brewers, or as most people call them, Wrigley and Wrigley North. Yeah, great job, guys.
Yeah.
Good show today, lads. Long show today, but good
Long show. I had a lot to say about the Braves, so apologies to any.
And I had a lot
people
to say about the
yeah.
Cats. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John had a lot of that time that he disappeared.
Yeah, he was very bright yellow for a little while. That was
orange,
nice.
like.
You know what we didn't talk about?
What?
Jerry Reinsdorf is selling the team. The Sox are 3-1 since he announced that.
Yeah, he announced that he's selling the team when he dies. Shut up, dude.
No, he
That's
announced
true.
that he's selling the team. Anytime between 2029 and 2033, or absolutely in 2034.
Dude, I don't even know what I'm doing for dinner tonight, much less what I'm doing in 2033. You think he planned that far?
So
89-year-old man announces that in 7 years something might happen. All right, dude.
It tends to happen.
I have a question. Before we go, explain to me how this man's net worth is only $2.3 billion. Chairperson of both the White Sox and the Bulls.
Think about how less valuable they are now that he owns them.
Think about how much success combined those two teams have had since the century. And there's your answer.
He started his professional life as a tax attorney with the IRS. All right, listen up, everybody. Everybody, I want you to say a prayer tonight, and I want it to not be a good one. I want you to pray to the bad guy.
Whoa.
Thanks for listening to Chatting.
You can find us
on Twitter or X, the everything app, at the Chatting AVG. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts, including Spotify. You can find us on YouTube and see my beautiful face. I don't know what John's doing right now, but he's very close to the camera. Thank you for listening, as always. For John, I'm Adam. We'll be back next week.